is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we just want to know what normal kids do in high school. We're talking about 2015's Barely Lethal.
A teenage special ops agent coveting a normal adolescence fakes her own death and enrolls in a suburban high school. She quickly learns that surviving the treacherous waters of high school is more challenging than international espionage. Ben, I don't know. You know why? I guess would be like the number one question as to like what we're doing this week.
I was wondering who to point the finger at. I don't know if it's which one of us chose this, but here we are.
Unfortunately, I think it was me. I think that I feel like this was like in the orbit of the next tier of movies that we should like kind of start to dig into.
Yeah.
And then I saw the cast and I was like, well, we should try that out. And now we're here. And, you know, this is all big one kind of alluding run-on sentence to how we feel about the film that we'll get into here in a little bit. Outside of the fact that we're talking about Barely Lethal, how are you?
Doing well. On our other pod, the Movie Draft Pod, we just recently recorded, so I'm happy to have my third win under my belt here pretty soon.
Okay. All right.
I think it's going to be great, so I'm just riding that high right now.
This cross pod promotion, where I as commissioner of the Movie Draft Pod, I'm going to nix that. Not allowed anymore. That's why you're winning.
No cross promo.
No cross promo. You're getting your two hives together, and they're giving you the wins.
Do what we can, we'll take whatever means necessary.
Unallowed. Yeah. At the time that this is coming out, that pod is not out yet. So if you're listening to this and then go listen to the Movie Draft Pod, just don't vote for Ben. I don't know. That's kind of
just
my
that simple. That's it. Yep.
I mean, get out and vote. That's important to vote, but don't vote for the wrong person. We are talking about Barely Lethal. This movie came out in 2015, directed by Kyle Newman. It is 98 minutes long. Ooh. That's a plus, right? We love a good sub 100.
I felt like I was watching Oppenheimer. This thing was so long. This was a long 98. I know we're not reviewing it yet, but goddamn, I would not have guessed it was 98 minutes long after watching it.
Oh man, there was about 15 minutes left, and I checked the runtime, and I was like, oh shit, this movie's not 2.5 hours. So same boat. Starring, and listeners will get the idea of why I chose this movie. Starring Haley Steinfeld, Samuel L. Jackson, Sophie Turner, Jessica Alba, my childhood movie star crush, and Steve-O. I thought it was worth putting on the list because he's in this movie. I thought it was a pretty good cast. We'll get into it. We'll talk about the movie. We have a couple housekeeping things to talk about. A24's next slate of IMAX movies is rumored / I think like unofficially announced. I don't know if A24 has like come out and said it, but people have sleuthed their way through cinema apps and have found out that these are going to be the next showings for the A24 kind of IMAX screenings that are happening. Stop Making Sense going back into IMAX theaters on October 2nd. The Witch will be going into IMAX theaters on October 23rd, and The Lighthouse on November 13th. I sent you this information, and what was your reply, Ben?
Was it 1 out of 3 ain't bad, or like the 33% success rate, something like that? I was like, yeah, they tried. That's fine.
Is it better? This leads to an interesting question, in my opinion. Is it better than the last kind of trifecta run that they had? And I asked this question for one sole reason. Because they re-released Supersonic, or whatever it was called, the Oasis.
Yeah.
Look at what happened. Oasis, back together after 15 years. Did A24 know something that we didn't?
Maybe they did. We were really questioning that choice when it first got announced because it wasn't sandwiched in between Everything Everywhere and what was the other one? I don't remember what.
Obviously not good enough to remember.
I guess
I don't
not.
remember either. Oh, Midsommar. It was Midsommar. It was the director's cut of Midsommar. We missed it because we were both in Vegas doing Vegas collab draft.
So like two of their, stable video or movies that everyone loves, and then also it's just like Oasis Supersonic, like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, maybe someone there knew something or was just trying to put out in the world, and you know the secret. It came true. If you put it out there, it'll happen. So here we are. The Gallagher brothers are together again.
Here we are. They spoke it into existence. Good, I don't know. Good for A24, I guess. Obviously, you're on board with Stop Making Sense coming back to IMAX screens.
100%. Very excited about it.
Are you going to see it?
Here's the thing. They don't get played near me. Like there's one theater in Utah that gets it. It's like 45 minutes away. And it's just like, I just don't know. Like, yeah, I'm sure other people travel a lot further to go to movies, but I'm just like, my normal theater is 5 minutes from me. So to multiply that by 9, I'm like, I just don't know if I want to go. But if there is a movie that would get me to go, it's this one. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like if they were to put something in IMAX to get you to be there, it would either be Stop Making Sense or like After Sun. I feel like those would be the two to really nudge you toward an IMAX. Trek and adventure.
For sure.
I would love to see Stop Making Sense again in IMAX. I experienced Stop Making Sense for the very first time in IMAX, and I have subsequently watched it, I don't know, I think like 7 or 8 times at home. So it'd be great to see it on an IMAX screen again. The Witch. Where are you at on The Witch these days?
Same place I've always been. I don't know that it's ever changed. I'm trying to think of what
same as it ever was, right?
Same as it ever was. Yeah. Would you take the girls this time to the IMAX? Do you think they would like it to see Stop Making Sense?
I think they dig it. Yeah. I think they really would.
They like it at home, right? Like,
they love it at home. My girls are 6 and 4. They love it at home. We listen to it in the car. We literally heard one of the songs in Target this afternoon, and I played it in the car, and Olive was like, we just heard this in Target. And I was like, yeah. And we listen to it all the time at home. Like, she knows the tunes.
Yeah.
So if there ever was like an IMAX gateway showing to experience such a large screen and large sound, it would be this movie. Plus the IMAX screen that I have is like, it's not quote unquote like, IMAX is not like an official massive real IMAX screen. But there is a big gap in between like kind of the lower seats and the upper seats where when I went to go see it, people were dancing. So I feel like that's a great opportunity for the kids to just get the wiggles out.
Better than The Witch, that's for sure. If you're going to take him to an IMAX movie, I would take him to this one. I think that'd be awesome. I think they would love it.
I think they would too. I think they really would. And you know what? I commend you on skirting my question about The Witch and focusing on Stop Making Sense again. So
thank you very much.
I see it. I recognize it. I give you kudos. I want to see The Witch in IMAX. I do. I believe on my letterbox, I have The Witch at like 2 stars. I don't know what I rated it last time on here, but I am really warming up to The Witch, even though I have problems with it. I think my opinion is changing. And I'll just give a little hint. We're doing a rewatch next month on this pod. And maybe it's time for a triple rewatch of The Witch. Didn't we already rewatch it once?
I feel like we did. I think we did.
I feel like we have to watch it every Halloween.
Do we? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, in that case, The Lighthouse comes out November 13th.
Yeah.
I don't know. I respect The Lighthouse more than I like The Lighthouse, and I'm like Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe, like two-hander. That's like so my shit, but I still just like respect it more than I like it. So I don't know if I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not at the front of my radar. I don't know why. I just didn't connect with this movie. This isn't a movie that I feel like I actively dislike, like The Witch. Yeah. Like, it's just a movie that I didn't connect to. And I'm aware that people really enjoy it, and it's, got a great following. And I think that's great. And maybe this is something on a rewatch. I would be like, oh, okay, I think I get it a little bit more this time. But yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be running to go see this one either.
You're telling me that the prospect of seeing Willem Dafoe on a massive fucking IMAX screen saying, what do you think of me, lobster? That doesn't intrigue you enough?
It might, if we keep bringing it up, that might drive me to the theater. We'll see.
Every day, I'm just going to text you. Just be like,
send me that
a
gift,
different quote or a different gift. Yeah, from The Lighthouse. This is why you need to go see it on IMAX. I would like to see all of them on IMAX. Will I do it? I don't know, but I think it's a kind of a cool trifecta. Of course, The Witch and The Lighthouse are just like no surprise to me. It's it's October, it's spooky season. They were going to go this route for sure. They already did Midsommar. They already did Hereditary. Talk to Me went back to theaters for AMC's little run that they had of
Oh, that's right.
summer like teen movies. So this was kind of what was left out there. One other piece of housekeeping, brand new for us. It'll be a few days late when this pod comes out, or a couple days late, but A24 has just acquired the North American distribution rights to Luca Guadagnino's next film starring Daniel Craig. That film would be Queer. This is a big fucking get for A24.
Yeah, this is a huge acquisition. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this movie. It's great to see Daniel Craig just like acting, you know what I mean? Like he got so stuck in Bond forever. So it's cool to see him get to like show his chops because he's a great actor and he's really funny. So I'm hoping he's able to do that here. But this, I think, is a huge thing for A24.
So here's the explanation of Queer in case people are unaware, don't know what the film is. Set in 1950s Mexico City, Queer follows William Lee, an American expat in his late 40s, as he leads a solitary life amidst a small American community. However, the arrival in town of Eugene Allerton, a young student, stirs William into finally establishing a meaningful connection with someone. Now, Queer is having its world premiere at Venice. As of recording time, Venice has only been going on for a day. So it has not premiered at Venice. I don't know where it is in the Venice schedule. Friend of the pod, Emma Sasek, I believe, who has been on this pod before. She is in Venice, and I believe she has tickets to see Queer, so really exciting for her. So no reactions are out for Queer. We don't know anything other than the 2 stills that we have of this movie. The North American premiere of Queer is going to be happening at TIFF in a couple of weeks, and I will be attending the press screening for it. At least that's the plan. Obviously, Luca's back with another movie. He just did Challengers. He's reteaming with his scribe, Justin Kuritzkis, who is married to, I'm blanking on her name, same woman who made Past Lives. Celine Song, yes. And obviously, we know there's a lot of interesting narrative about love between these two people. I'm really, really, really excited to see Queer. I think it's interesting that A24 picked up Queer considering Challengers went to Amazon. I think that's a really interesting kind of like battle, and I think a really like snapshot of where we're at in like the distribution race. But I have one really big question about this. Is A24 going to release Queer in 2024? Or are they going to wait for a 2025 release date?
How soon could they release it? I don't even know exactly. I mean, could it make it for the Oscar run?
In theory, they could release it in December, no problem. If it's playing at fall festivals, they just need a quick turn. The movie's complete, obviously. I mean, all the deals are inked, at least, as of this moment in time. So I would assume that they could say, like coming out December 18th, and put it for a week before Christmas. You have a million questions go with that. How many people are going to go see Queer, a Luca Guadagnino movie featuring Daniel Craig playing a homosexual man during Christmas or like the holiday season, which generally is for like family films?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, like that conversation is changing and navigating every single winter. So I don't really know how A24 feels about that. But if they release it in 2024, that means we get 2 Luca movies in 2024. And in my opinion, we could be looking at an Oscar slate in March that sees both Challengers and Queer having nominations. And it would be really curious to see if Luca gets nominated for a Best Director and which movie that would be for.
That'd be amazing that he would have like a 20% chance of like winning Best Director and possibly Best Film if both of those things get nominated. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. I'm curious if A24 would release it though, because I'm like, obviously we have our differing opinions on the movie a little bit, but I feel like Sing Sing is going to be like kind of their Oscar push. So do they want to like muddy those waters with Queer, or would it take it? I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know what they think about when it comes to Oscar campaigns though, because again, my boy behind me, Zac Efron, I think he easily could have been nominated, and they decided to like not push for it. It's like, okay, that's weird, but so I don't know. I don't know what they would think.
So this is interesting because good friend of both of ours, friend of the pod, Brian Sudfield, he texted me this news when it had dropped, and my initial reaction back to him, my first text was, love this for A24, do not love this for Luca, for Daniel Craig, or for the film Queer, because A24 kind of a little bit dropping the ball when it comes to Oscar campaigns. I mean, you just mentioned Zac Efron, but like Everything Everywhere All at Once wins X number of Oscars in 2023, of course, because the movie comes out in 2022. After that, I feel like they just said like, wow, that's it. We've done it, and have just stopped. And so I'm really worried for a movie like this where Amazon can clearly get behind Challengers, even though it came out 5 months ago or 6 months ago, and say, we want this in the conversation, because we're never in the conversation. Amazon's never in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It just worries me for the people behind the project.
Yeah, I don't think A24 is going to throw around that Bezos money like Amazon will, towards a movie. So I think it's a good call on your part. Like, we, as A24 fans and as like, co-hosts of an A24 podcast, this is good for us. This is exciting for us, and this is going to be fun to talk about. But yeah, when it comes to getting the recognition it deserves, or even like the press it deserves, or the, any of that kind of stuff, like A24 is just so not great about it. They're just so inconsistent. It's like, for some reason there's a movie where they really get behind it and they like promote it and stuff like that. But then there's others that you think will get that same attention and they don't. So I just hope this falls in the right camp.
Totally agree with you. I'm really, really interested. And you and I were actually just texting earlier today about what our Oscar kind of season is going to look like here on the pod. We're going to obviously transition over to 24 minutes of the Oscars, as we do every year. So super, super interesting, in my opinion, that A24 acquires this. They do have a good track record of getting people to see edgy films, especially sexually edgy films. You look at even this year, Love Lies Bleeding, a movie that kind of was a really small hit and had people talking for a few weeks. Queer, I would assume, would deem a much bigger, longer conversation. But I guess we'll find out come November, December, or next year. I really have no idea. We'll see.
Can I put you on the spot with a question here?
Oh, God, please do.
It's about the Oscars.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Can you tell me maybe like 3 movies you think we'll be talking about next year? And I asked that because the first 3 episodes we talked about last year were Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Sure.
And I think we kind of knew early on, like, oh, these are going to be these are going to be in the Best Picture race for sure. Those were like easy episodes to name. And for the life of me right now, outside of like maybe Challengers, I'm like, I don't know. Like, what would our first 3 episodes be at this point? I'm not sure. Probably Sing, but like, I don't know. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. Like, are there things that have come out that you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to be in the race?
So things that have already released that we think are going to be in the conversation.
Yeah, because like at this point last year, we knew about those 3 movies. Like, we knew about Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers.
Okay.
So it's like, oh yeah, those are probably going to be things. Do you think we've had anything released so far that's like, yeah, we can pretty much pencil that in for an episode?
Yeah, that is a hard question, because I did just see a tweet earlier today that was like, real question. Have we had even a good movie year? Has it been even good? Like, sure, maybe there's 1 or 2 great movies, and people of this pod, listeners of the show know where I fall out on Sing Sing, or I Saw the TV Glow, or things like that. Those to me are outside of the Best Picture conversation. You mentioned if A24 wants to kind of throw everything behind Sing Sing, which it seems like it would be the movie to do so for, but from what I'm hearing, it's still not like widely available. And we're like weeks, we recorded 2 weeks ago, or, at this time it'll be a week ago that we recorded and saw it, and some people still can't even watch it. So like, that's really curious to me. I legitimately do think Challengers will be in the Best Picture conversation. So I think the 2 that we've seen so far this year that, in my opinion, are locks would be Challengers and Dune Part 2. Okay, but that's kind of it. Like, I'm looking at my top 10 Letterboxd, and it's tough. it is a tough field out there so far. We have huge movies coming down the line. Obviously, like Megalopolis and Anora, the Palme d'Or winner of Cannes. I think those are going to be like the big conversation pieces. Dune Part 2, there's just no way it's not in the conversation.
Yeah. Even just on technical aspects at the very least.
But outside of that, oof.
Yeah.
It's not looking very appealing to me.
Yeah. It's
Yikes.
going to be interesting to see what movies we're talking about at the beginning of 2025.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, like, from a personal standpoint, I hope Furiosa's in that conversation. I at least hope George Miller is in the Best Director conversation. But, we're not going to go by Best Director here. So if it's not a Best Picture nominee, we're not going to cover it here on the show. So real fickle pickle that the Oscars are in right there. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Because, I thought Kinds of Kindness. I thought that would be like another one this year where it was like, definitely in the Best Picture conversation already.
After all the Poor Things attention? Yeah, for sure.
Dude, that came and went. And it's just like not out there anymore. Yeah, interesting conversation.
Yeah.
You think Madam Web, maybe?
Oh, I was thinking besides that, what's going to get nominated? Like that
That's
seemed
a
like
lock.
a lock. Yeah. It's like what other 9 movies are we talking about here?
Yeah. It's actually going to be Tuesday, Madam Web, and Unfrosted. Those are the trifecta that are guaranteed in the Best Picture race. Do you think anything outside of Dune Part 2, if we're in agreement on that?
I mean, I agree with Dune Part 2. I think that's good. I mean, I asked you because I know you've seen more of the releases this year than I have, so I figured you'd have like a better insight. I still think you do, and I don't know. I can't think of anything. Nothing comes to mind where I'm like, yeah, that probably could be it. Like The Beekeeper's not getting nominated. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's not going to happen.
Tough
I don't
beat.
know that the world exists where like, I don't know. Maybe this is wishful thinking, but like, does Civil War get in? Maybe as like a 8 or 9 spot. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any way. And I was looking at that and I was like, man, is that going to be one that we're talking about? But I don't know. I'm going through my TIFF schedule right now, and I'm trying to think out of this TIFF schedule, like what I have coming up, what would be in the Best Picture conversation. And it's obviously Anora. We're probably looking at Conclave. A lot of people are saying early on that Conclave is going to be in this conversation. Queer, if it comes out, Megalopolis. I don't know what else to tell you. Like it's looking slim out here.
I haven't seen it, but I know the box office has been great for Inside Out too. Like, does that make some sort of anime? I mean, that makes the animated, I guess, at least, but I don't know if it makes the top 10 for Best Picture. Yeah, interesting year so far.
Fascinating. Really, really, really fascinating year so far. Okay, let's talk about Barely Lethal. I love that you threw that question to me because I feel like we should have just done that. We should have just ditched Barely Lethal and just gone that direction on the whole episode of this show because I would have loved to have that conversation. Okay, I'm going to circle back to what I asked you at the top of the pod. Why? Like, why is this movie... Why is this movie a thing? And B, why the fuck did A24 buy this movie?
This movie is crazy to me. After watching it, and maybe even during watching it, I was looking up the director and the writer. It's like, are these the children of some popular producer that like somehow got their way into like the Nepo? Like, hey, will you be in my kid's movie? Because like, other than that, I don't know why any of these people signed up for it, unless there must have been like some money there. But again, like the first thing that shows up on your screen is the DirecTV logo. And I'm like, oh, was this a made for TV movie that somehow got a theatrical release? Like this is kind of crazy, like that stuff's been done before. And I get that sometimes it works. Like shout out John Wick, which they thought was going straight to VOD and turned out into this like 4-film franchise, but we're not getting that from Barely Lethal. I can promise you that. Like,
are you sure? You Barely Lethal 2 not coming out on the 10-year anniversary of Barely Lethal?
Who knows? We'll see what Haley Steinfeld's up to at that point. Like, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I have no idea why this movie exists or why, outside of money, these people signed up to do it.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even like, I'm just looking up her IMDb right now. True Grit came out in 2010. This is 5 years
Oof.
after. This isn't a thing where it's like, oh, she made this right after True Grit before True Grit came out, and so now it's out there. Like, it doesn't seem like that was the case at all anyway. I just like, what was this supposed to be? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think you summed it up pretty good. We'll talk about Haley Steinfeld. I think is obviously worth mentioning. The movie does like revolve around her, but you're totally right. Like, she's not. It doesn't seem like at this stage, between 2010 when she gets nominated for an Oscar, and then in 2015, she makes big-ish movies. Like, she's in things that have resonance. I mean, like, not a lot of movies that we talk about now, but I mean, Ender's Game, like, that was a big deal when it came out, and Pitch Perfect 2, she's in a Taylor Swift music video. Like, she's not an unknown.
Yeah.
So, to your point, this movie, I feel like, is a 1,000,000% cut and dry. These 4 people really needed a paycheck. And it was probably, okay, 22 days to shoot this thing. We'll fly you to, fucking wherever, get a free trip out of it. And we'll box it up and call it a day. And I feel like that's a pretty good deal for these guys. Let's talk about the cast for a second, because I wrote down the question here: stacked cast or no? Because I feel like it's a stacked cast, and then you watch the movie and you're like, I don't know if any of these people are good actors.
Yeah, when we were talking about this last week about like what we were going to be watching, and we talked about the cast a little bit, like, it made sense. It's like, okay, yeah, you would watch this movie because Samuel L. Jackson, Jessica Alba, like, there's solid people in here. And then watching the movie, it's like, wait, who did I think was in this? Because like, no one's popping up here that's making me think like, fuck yeah, I'm happy I'm watching this right now. But it does, for some reason, on paper seem like a stacked cast. Like, it's just unfortunately an unstacked script, I guess. Like, I can't necessarily blame any of these people, but this is a really bad script. Can I share a budget fun fact with you? And I don't know if you've already looked at it, but at least people listening,
please enlighten me.
The estimated budget of this movie was $15 million.
Okay.
The gross in US and Canada,
oh no,
was $6,000.
What?
That's it. They made $6,075 in 2.
I thought you were gonna say like $6 million. I'm like, all right, not terrible. $6,000.
$6,000 in the US. Somehow worldwide, it almost made $1 million. It made $933,000. But still, that's like far below the $15 million budget, which might be why this writer, this is the only movie he's ever written. I don't know that they're giving him a chance on that again. And I don't know that the director, Kyle Newman, has directed any feature films since then. Because, yeah, when you lose a studio of $14 million, that's rough.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned.
$6,000. That's crazy. That's a GoFundMe. Like, you could raise that like in different ways. Like, I can't believe that that's like what a movie made in America.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's insane. That is so insane to me. Yeah. On February 25th, the film was acquired by A24 and DirecTV before being released in theaters and on demand.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So they were day and date 8 years early.
Pre-COVID. They
saw the future, and they wanted to take the future into their own hands. Fuck, man, this movie's terrible. This is a bad movie. Okay, so we talked about Haley Steinfeld for a quick minute. Samuel L. Jackson. I want to talk about him in a second. I have Jessica Alba's IMDb pulled up. Okay. Where's her girl? Where's Jessica Alba these days? She, as Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four, that was everything that I cared about in the world as a 9-year-old pubescent child. Yeah. I was like, please let me just see Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman. and then reappear in only a bra, please. And then she makes this movie. Kind of ruined my childhood dreams.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
I mean,
I'm also looking at her IMDb and I'm realizing that she was also in the same Taylor Swift music video in the same year this came out. Is there some tie between Barely Lethal and the Bad Blood music video? Like, I kind of want to pull up the Bad Blood music video now and
was
see
there a
what
package
this looks
deal?
like.
Do you also want to know who is in the Bad Blood music video? I might blow your mind with this one.
Please.
Please vet this information on the spot. But I've seen that music video enough times because my girls are obsessed with it. I'm positive Sophie Turner is also in that music video.
Oh, it would not surprise me. Yeah, I'm muting it right now.
This entire thing, so what we've uncovered here today, Barely Lethal is 1,000,000% just a shell company, a shell hedge fund for whatever the fuck was going on underneath.
Yeah, 100%.
Not real.
It's gotta be. No. This video is crazy. Joseph Kahn film.
And you know what's interesting to me is that this movie plays like a movie that a character would be watching in a movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they took that in the movie and they were like, let's actually make a movie about it. Jessica Alba, like I said, she's in all kinds of stuff. She's in The Love Guru, 2008. Just god atrocious movie. But she was headlining stuff, man. She was in The Eye. That was like a thing. She was, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. And
you surprised to not see her in Deadpool and Wolverine?
I was a little bit.
Right?
I thought that could have been it. I thought we could have been a little bit back with that. I mean, she has no upcoming projects right now. She just did her first movie in quite a while, in like 5 years. It looks like she just came out with a movie called Trigger Warning for Netflix. I heard it's bad. God, how the greats fall,
Oh, and then if you go to IMDb and look at the stars, the first name that pops up there is Jamie King, who to me is not the star of this movie, but somehow gets first billing.
Who is that?
I don't remember that role at all, but here's a fun fact for you. Fun fact number 3, she's married to the director, Kyle Newman.
Oh, man.
So
you don't think you could get any lower, and then we scoop out more dirt?
And he's like, at the IMDb, people was like, no, Jamie King, my wife, is the star. List her before Samuel L. Jackson. List her before Haley Steinfeld. It's like, what fucking role was she? I don't even remember who that is in the movie.
She's in this movie for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It's literally like a shot of her face.
But she's the first person listed as a star of this movie on IMDb. Crazy.
Wow. This is
what is with this
remarkable stuff. Remarkable stuff. Oh my God, it just keeps happening. Did you read her bio on IMDb?
No.
This is the craziest pod we've ever done. I'm reading through. She is married to Kyle Newman since 2007 and has 2 children with him. The next sentence. Jessica Alba and Taylor Swift are her children's godmothers.
What? Come on. This is... How many levels does this go down? This is crazy.
God.
Was she in the Bad Blood music video? Like, she must have been if that's her godmother, right? Do you remember she got left out of that?
I am stunned. I'm stunned. I can't believe we're finding this out live on the pod.
This is crazy.
This is the wildest thing that's ever happened in my life. Just ever.
She's in Ocean's 8 as herself. Like, I don't know who Jamie King is. How are you starring as your... That's crazy to me.
That is wild.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to look through the Bad Blood music video. Yeah, kind of an all-timer cast on that music video, just like FYI. Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, Ellie Goulding, Haley Williams, Zendaya, Carly Kloss, Cindy Crawford.
Yeah,
Jessica
Cara
Alba?
Delevingne. Yeah.
Ellen Pompeo? Jesus Christ.
Mariska
Gigi Hadid?
Hargitay. Yeah, it's a great cast.
Okay.
Gigi Hadid, whose name is Slazy in the music video. Amazing.
This is Unhinged material.
But I
This
guess
is
it
really,
kind of makes
really
sense
wild.
if it's like the video's set on her being like a female crime fighter, because that's kind of what this movie is supposedly about. So I guess I get the crossover, but it's just
So
so weird.
maybe they were tie-ins. You know what I mean? They both came out in
Yeah.
2015. Maybe they were a tie-in. Maybe they were like, hey, Haley Steinfeld's going to headline this movie, or, headline this
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
quote
yeah.
unquote. And like, it'll go in hand in hand with Bad Blood. Jesus Christ. What are we doing? We should just not. We should not make movies anymore. That was my takeaway after after watching Barely Lethal.
And all this, and there's no Bad Blood on the Beverly Lethal soundtrack. You think they would have put it in the movie if they had the rights to it. It is not showing up at all. So
Even
much
more
for your godmother, Jamie. Jesus.
Jesus. What does she even do for you?
Throw
God.
a freaking bone.
This is the craziest fucking thing. My next question on my general thoughts before we get into True Cinema was, what's the point? And I think we just established all underground material.
Yeah, there is no point to this movie. I don't even know if there's a message to this movie, to be completely honest. Like, I don't know what it would be. I don't know what the takeaway was. Other than high school's hard, but it's like, yeah, if you've ever gone through puberty and been in high school, like, it sucks. Like, being a kid sucks. That's just it. Like, I don't know. And this movie just kind of reinforced that, I guess. I don't know.
It does everything very, very weakly. There is like opportunity to have a theme of like, oh, high school and friendship and community and like all of these things. It kind of half-asses that, even less. There's an opportunity to say, family, finding a found family and getting accepted into a new family. And this is what matters. This is how you get through hard times. Just completely forgets that is a part of the movie whatsoever. We never revisit the family, really, except for one conversation that happens that when this conversation started, I was like, how the fuck are they on this level? Like, how are the mom and Haley Steinfeld, like, how do they even care about each other? Because we know nothing about it. So there's not a lot going on here. I had a bullet point for quotes. I have a few quotes that I wanted to call out so I don't forget. And then quite honestly, we're going to blaze through this True Cinema. This movie's not good. This is going to be like a certified bad movie. We're just going to probably talk shit about it.
We might set like some sort of historic record here of both giving it the same failing grade. Who knows? We'll see. Stay tuned, but don't leave. But I'm gonna be more surprised if we don't. This could be record setting.
This could be big. This could be history. We're gonna do A1 Act for spy movies, so things could get interesting there. I have a very interesting pick that I'm trying to pull out here. Okay, there are a few quotes that I wanted to do. One of them is actually the first bullet point on the True Cinema, so I'm going to skip that for a quick second. Can you help me out here? I need your help with the name of the guy who is one of the guys' dads. He's Roger's dad. Do you know the name of this actor?
Hubel, right? Rob Hubel.
Okay, yes, Rob Hubel. So I think Rob Hubel is just absolutely hysterical. Yeah. I think he's fantastic in everything that he's in. He has a couple of guest spots on The League, a show that is no longer running, that is really a travesty. Yeah. He's excellent on The League. Everything that he said in this movie had me dying. The first thing that I wrote, he tells his son Roger, I want to know you're 20 every 20, but no 420. And then they talk about weed for a second. And then he says, how do you know what weed is? What are you, Harold and Kumar? And I was like, oh, wow, this guy can cook even in dog shit.
Yeah. He was the bright point of this movie for me was the parents. Rob Hubel.
Easily.
And then Rachel Harris plays the mom of the family that Haley Steinfeld comes into. That
is the way that I know her is she is Ed Helms' wife in The Hangover, correct?
Yep. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So they're both funny with what they're given, you know what I mean? But even then they're given some stuff that's like pretty fucking rough, but to me, they're the bright points of this film.
I agree. Steve-O, another bright point of the film for me. He's in this movie for maybe 3 minutes, just being Steve-O, kind of.
Yeah.
He's got these cables, these electricity cables that he holds up. And when they bring Megan, who is Haley Steinfeld's character, when they bring her back to the spy facility and then inject her with truth serum and then somehow choose to let her go, which I'm really confused about. He is there and he's kind of playing the muscle. And Samuel L. Jackson is interrogating Haley Steinfeld and is like, "Who did you go work for? Like, you're a double agent." She's like, "I worked for Sbarro." And he's like, "Who's Sbarro?" And Steve-O's like, "It's the largest pizza chain in malls across America." And I was like, my fucking guy showing up with 2 sentences, all-timer.
It was a real jump scare to see him suddenly. Like, oh shit, Steve-O's here. Okay, got it. I was glad they gave him something to say. And it was a pretty funny line. Because, yeah, Samuel Jackson's like, whatever, like the communist Sbarro of this country. I can't believe you were working for him. And Steve was like, no, the pizza chain. It's the largest one in the mall. I was like, all right, good. I'm glad they gave him some stuff to do.
Yeah, that was funny. And then I just had one other quick quote when Sophie Turner's character of Heather and Haley Steinfeld's character of Megan, they kind of have like a little tiff inside a bathroom at a party. They have this little tiff, and Sophie Turner's kind of coming in and taking over what Haley's doing. And I think this scene in particular is structured like leagues beyond how good this movie is because it actually really, really works for me. They have their thing and they're fighting over a boy, and I get it. And like, that's a whole thing. And then we get this tiff with them and they leave the bathroom, and all of a sudden the camera pans behind the door and there's this young kid just sitting on the toilet taking a shit. And all I said is, what the fuck was that? And I was like, oh, to me, that was like super bad levels of like, oh, that's really fucking funny. And they did it right.
They really did. Yeah, that was probably one of the funniest deliveries of the whole movie. This movie was interesting. One of the trivia things I read about it is I guess it originally got a R rating, and the directors appealed and didn't change anything, and then they changed it back to PG-13. And I think it was just like language based because there's no like goriness or gruesomeness or anything like that. It's all just language based. And yeah, they're able to get to PG-13, but I think you could still feel some of what got the R rating the initial time, and that was definitely one of those lines. But I thought it worked really well.
I love that you bring this up because my biggest issue with this movie is I don't think it knows what it wants to be. And that is the most annoying part. It is tonally absolutely all over the place. I don't know if it wants to be a raunchy high school comedy or if it wants to be, look at me, I'm so cute and young and the world is really mean to me. And it flip-flops all the time. And then all of a sudden, Samuel L. Jackson will be leading the mom out and she goes, "Oh, I haven't been, frisked in a while." And it's like, oh, wow, we're a college sex comedy now. Like, I don't get it. So if listeners have made it to this point and they're like, you're not really talking about what you don't like, that is for me, like the main takeaway is like, it's tonally a dumpster fire. Doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it was about as all over the place as Sophie Turner's accent. Like, it was pretty wild at certain points. Like, oh, I don't know that she had a dialect coach for this because that was kind of rough, and no shade towards her. I couldn't do this pod in like a British accent by any means, but man, it didn't help the movie at all. Why couldn't she just be British? You know what I mean? Like, is there a reason she couldn't just have her voice? There's no reason not to. Who cares?
Guaranteed. It was like on the day, every day. She was like, "Here's what I want to do," and everybody's like, "We don't fucking care. Do whatever you want to do."
Yeah, you're fine. You got Game of Thrones. Sure, go ahead.
What was the deal with Jessica Alba? Like thinking that her character was cute. Like that to me again, like really weird C/D plot of like, oh, is she into her, or is she like, I'll just use her to get out of the spy agency? Like, what is happening?
No clue. No idea.
I'm just I'm blinded by Jessica Alba's hotness. It just blinds my brain. Okay, True Cinema. I wanted to know what normal kids do, so I started gathering intel. Smash cut to a 6-minute montage of her just watching DVDs of high school movies. Wild stuff.
Just
unbelievably terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I will say though, after our episode last night,
I know. I
it
knew you
was
were gonna
fun to
bring this
see
up.
some callbacks. I'm like, oh look, there's some stuff that we talked about last night in here, and yeah, there's a reason that like those things got talked about last night and show up in this movie because they're just like
Yeah.
quintessential high school movies. But they, to me, they're just like doing too much. Where it's just like, oh, your cheerleaders invited me to sit down. I remember this, and here's your objectives. Like, just chill the fuck out. Like, it just didn't work. Like, I got what they were doing, but just like the way it got delivered just didn't work to me for some reason. Because then later on, I know I'm jumping ahead already, but it's just like when the other girls were like, "Oh, you should be the mascot because he really likes that." She totally just goes with it, like, "Oh yeah, sure, okay, great." It's like, well,
Yeah.
hold on, like, are you very smart and can like deduce what's happening, or I guess maybe you can't read situations, like you can't. I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea. I thought you were a spy or whatever.
And we do get some like voiceover going on in the beginning of this and like towards the end of the film, and then it just like drops away for long periods of time that just
Yeah.
don't make sense whatsoever. Another really out of pocket thing. Next bullet point here: Mission High School was a go, and then she proceeds to go to high school. I I just don't think there was enough like world building to even constitute her decision to like try to leave whatever the spy organization's name was. Like she is on a spy mission to hunt down Jessica Alba's character and like bring her in. And she does it. And like there's never any groundwork for like, oh, I don't really like doing this, or oh, this is outside my comfort zone, or like, oh, I'm actually like I thought of Black Widow and like the Red Room and like how this shit is like really abusive or it's terrible or dark or whatever. There's none of that. She just falls off of the like the hitch of the plane and jumps into the river. And of course, Sophie Turner's character, the girl who Samuel L. Jackson knows has a vendetta against Haley Steinfeld, is like, no audio, no visual. She's lost. And Samuel L. Jackson's like, all right, I guess we got to roll with that. And
Good enough for me.
Haley is like, this was my one chance to get out of the spy zone. And it's like, what? Why? Who fucking cares?
I don't like, you're not missing anything. Like it is wild how quickly they gave up on her. It was like, all right, well, she must be dead. Anyways, like moving on. Like, man, that was
she just
fast.
captured like the one US like flip agent that they only care about. That Samuel L. Jackson is like, he's like, she hasn't been spotted in 8 years, and she just got spotted. She's probably going to leave in 8 hours, and she'll be gone in the wind. Legs up in 1 hour, or like wheels up in 1 hour. And I'm like, 1 hour? My guy, that's like 15% of the time she's in that country.
Yeah, exactly. You guys got to move a lot faster than this. This is crazy.
Let's get a move on. Okay, the assembly. We get I think the kid's name is Gooch. Just
Gooch, yeah.
Probably the most annoying movie character I've ever run across.
There's just no way they let someone talk that much shit in an assembly without kicking them out. Like it's
to the
principal's just the principal's like, Gooch. Like, no, dude, that's not how this works. Like you're in a position of authority. Get this kid in shape. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Then like the whole nut free joke, like just really heavy handed, really over the top.
So bad. Yeah.
This is where we meet Cash, who is part of a band that is a YouTube sensation, apparently, and an iTunes music chart sensation. But everybody in the high school, even towards the end of the movie, is like, hey, we're at a party together, but also, can I get a picture with you? I genuinely think this character makes zero sense whatsoever and is not even valid as like a plot device. I think it's truly terrible.
Yeah, and part of me thinks that they wanted like Penn Badgley, like because I kept seeing him, like, oh, that's like the guy from Gossip Girl and You. Like, I think that's who they wanted because they got someone that kind of looks like him. He's like Kroger Penn Badgley, you know. It's just like not quite the name brand stuff, you know. And it's just a really weird character. It's such a weird character.
It is 1,000,000% like just the iconic, like, oh, our high schooler is falling in love with someone who does music and like is not the right fit, but Thomas is actually the right fit, and like all of these things. All of these huge high school tropes that are really ineffective in this movie. You mentioned the Viking kidnapping. She becomes the mascot. The other school comes to kidnap her, opens a can of whoop ass on all these kids, and the guy is like, we're just trying to do our school, like our
School
yearly
spirit, whatever. Yeah.
school tradition, school spirit. And she's like, oh, school tradition. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I don't know.
It added nothing to the story at all. I don't know why it's here. It doesn't make any sense other than just show her whatever, spy prowess when it comes to martial arts, but that's it.
But then the video goes viral and she's like, I can't be on the internet. And nobody questions that. Nobody's like, why? Why not? She's like, I can't be on the internet. And then everybody else is like, you're so cool. Don't mess with the Vikings is really what we get out of that. Everybody watching the same YouTube video at the same time in the library. Wow. Cash singing in the studio. This scene is really bad. It's really, really, really bad.
I don't know how you feel, but I don't think I could ever date a musician.
No,
because
absolutely
just
not.
the secondhand embarrassment of just being sung to, like when you watch that ever happen on like The Bachelorette or something like that. Like I wrote a song for you. It's like, oh no, please don't sing to me. Like, please don't do this. Please don't make me sit here. It's like, getting sung Happy Birthday, but just like elevated. It's so bad. I'm like, oh, I couldn't do it.
And it's really, really bad. And like, I understand like the point of the scene is because Megan is supposed to be falling in love with Roger, who is like kind of this AV, dork guy that she pulls out from her high school knowledge, and instead is falling in love with Cash, the musician. And Roger is just there in the studio and is just chilling. And it's maybe the most awkward thing I've ever seen. I mentioned Steve-O with the cables. I kind of love that 2 minutes there. Kid on the toilet, I mentioned. We have a little bit of a tiff. This is where Sophie Turner really comes in and is like, I'm going to keep an eye on you, even though our leader, trusted you to go back. And if I'm not mistaken, the only reason she goes back and is like let loose back into high school is to say goodbye to people. I'm pretty sure that's the excuse she gives.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Samuel L. Jackson's character's name is Hardman, by the way.
Hardman. I like
Guys,
that.
we got to do better. We have to do better.
Putting the jokes anywhere he can, I guess.
Again, the tonal just absolute crumble. Then we kind of get the third act. We get the car chase. This is where Megan tells the truth to Liz, her adopted sister, part of her adopted family that we never, ever spend time with or dive into. Yeah. And it's supposed to be this big reveal of like, oh my God, you're an international spy. And like I mentioned, I just don't care. So it doesn't really work for me kind of at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I don't know. I'm too old to know who Dove Cameron is, but I know one of the trivia facts, this was her first movie. So I'm like, okay. And their relationship, both when they didn't like each other and when they did like each other, did not make sense to me. I was like, oh, now you guys are friends suddenly. Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't really know how this happened, but I realize narratively we need to move along. But this is just like, how did this happen here? I don't get it.
Looks like she has been in Disney's The Descendants and The Descendants 2 and The Descendants 3. Okay. And The Descendants, The Royal Wedding animated movie. Okay. So, I just look, if she's
I stand corrected.
If she's getting paid, then she's getting paid. Happy for her, I guess.
Disney check, yeah.
Get that Disney check. And then we get the big reveal at the end that Jessica Alba's character is in fact Agent 1 and was trained by Hardman and is now taken Megan's family hostage, and Megan's little brother, who is playing with all of her spy toys throughout the film, unleashes a flashbang grenade in the middle of an enclosed living room when people come in with guns, and everybody survives, and Samuel L. Jackson totes off with Megan's mom and is like, let me go shake you down outside of what the camera can see.
A1X, let's go. Moving on. I don't know what to say about this. Like, it's just wild. Like
Oh,
the
it's
kid,
terrible.
I get that they're setting it up throughout the movie that he keeps playing with like her gadgets and stuff like that, but it's just like, all right, like whatever. And the way they play up the Agent One reveal, like it's like this huge thing that we didn't know about. It's like you guys have been telegraphing this for a long time. Like we
90
understand that
minutes.
she used to be one of these people. You know, like this isn't the reveal that you think it is. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
and then it's just like it feels like it's one of like what 3 endings to this movie or something like that. Because then we
Exactly.
move on. Like it's just like all right, whatever. This feels like it should be the final thing, but I guess not. We got to wrap up the romance storyline. Like yeah, whatever.
Yeah. We got to ask if Megan's got a helicopter license when she flies a helicopter into the middle of the fucking road.
Yeah.
I did forget to mention the fight that Sophie Turner and Haley Steinfeld do have at prom. Kind of cool. I don't know. I think that they are both attractive actors and maybe not suited for movies about spies. I'll just put that out there.
I don't think you're wrong at all.
My true cinema moment. When definitely the kid on the toilet. He was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. That's the
Okay.
best part of this whole movie.
It really is. If you haven't seen it, it's probably not on YouTube. So unfortunately, you might just not ever see this.
Yeah.
This.
We
this
saved
clip.
you like an hour, trust me.
I'm actually going to condense this whole hour-long pod into a 30-second TikTok that's like, I watch Barely Lethal, so you don't have to. Here's what you need to know. Don't watch it. And then
Yep.
that's just the whole
That's
video.
it. Yeah. That's all there is.
A1 Act for spy movies. Here's our list. The Bourne franchise, the Bond franchise, Mission Impossible franchise, Munich, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, North by Northwest, Argo. Ah, fuck, you put Argo on the list? That was going to be my hidden pick, Ben. Dang it.
You did mine, I did yours.
I obviously haven't read this list yet, guys.
I know. I love that you do the Ron Burgundy. You're like, I'm just going to read whatever's on the screen. It's so good.
I really am. Yeah. Fuck you, San Diego. Notorious, Austin Powers, Spy Game, Body of Lies, Ronin, True Lies, The Manchurian Candidate, 3 Days of the Condor, Argyle, The Gray Man, Zero Dark 30, Burn After Reading, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I put on this list before we started recording and you were very mad about, and Hannah with our beloved Saoirse Ronan. Some good options out there.
What are you going to go with? You going with Argo?
Well, I have a couple questions. Can I ask you if these might qualify? I'm not saying I'm going to choose them,
Okay.
but Black Widow, I think, does qualify for this list. I had mentioned Black Widow prior. She's kind of a spy, especially with Florence Pugh's character. Speaking of the MCU, Haley Steinfeld, now in the MCU. When's she coming back?
You think she's going to be a Thunderbolt?
I don't know if she's going to be a Thunderbolt, but she's definitely a Young Avenger.
Young Avenger, yeah, for sure.
Has to be. So I'm curious when she comes back. Tenet, would you put that under a spy movie?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay, well, I'll be choosing Tenet. But I would also like to ask you one more question. In my runner-up position, and I'm not, this is not like up for debate. This is definitely a spy movie. In my runner-up position, a movie that I haven't seen since I was probably about 8 years old that holds a really near and dear place in my heart that I hope I never revisit and I hope that magic never disappears for me. Spy Kids 3, Game Over, starring Elijah Wood, Glenn Powell, Sylvester Stallone, I believe, is in that film as well.
Nice.
I watched that movie so many times as a kid. I watched it every time I went over to my grandma's house. She lived out of town. We'd go hang out at her house for the weekend. And I was like, man, Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Used to buy the DVD and it would come with 3D glasses. And it was just like the coolest thing in the world for an 8-year-old boy.
I mean, I haven't seen any of the Spy Kid movies, but sounds like a solid runner-up. No.
Oh, yeah. It's good. Let me just put that out there. And if listeners, if you've seen it recently and it's not good, just don't tell me. How about that?
Yeah. Don't. Yeah, just keep it to yourself. I'm going to go with kind of a different type of spy movie. I'm going to go with Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation with Gene Hackman. Just one of the greatest movies ever. Maybe greatest Gene Hackman performance. I love this is top tier Coppola. He plays like a surveillance expert that is spying on a couple that he thinks is going to be murdered, and he has to decide whether or not to like let them know or save them. Like it's a wonderful movie. I watched it for the first time in film school in my sound class, actually, of all places, because this movie has just some of the best sound design in it of all time. So, and it has the young Harrison Ford, so it's not too bad either. So yeah, The Conversation.
That is not bad at all. That's actually that's a real good pick. I would be really interested if we put up a poll between who thinks that, like, what people think the better spy movie is, Tenet or The Conversation, because I think are both a little bit kind of off the regular path of like a James Bond or whatever.
Let's do it.
That'd be good. Can I just quickly say this? I'm looking at the cast for Spy Kids 3D, and I feel like we've got a Barely Lethal situation on our hands here because it is. Of course, the main like kids and then everybody who's an actor in that, but we've got Sylvester Stallone, Salma Hayek, Elijah Wood, Antonio Banderas, Carla Gugino, Cheech of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
We've got Danny Trejo, Alan Cumming, Tony Shalhoub, Steve Buscemi, Bill Paxton, George Clooney, Selena Gomez.
Dang.
That's insane, bro. This movie's 84 minutes long. Wow. I might just...
That's a stacked cast.
Yeah.
Did Rodriguez direct that one as well?
Yeah, you bet he did.
Did he do all of them? That's great.
I think he did all three. Yeah.
Nice.
So crazy. Good stuff. Man, yeah. And they just like, I think they kind of came out all in succession. I think it was like 01, 02, and 03.
Oh, dang.
We used to make good movies in this country. All right. A24 ranking. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
F. Just the worst. I don't understand this movie. I don't know why it exists.
Yep.
I hope to never watch it again. It's not even something I would tell someone to watch that had any sort of curiosity about it, or, you know, like it seems like something I would suggest to somebody if I wanted them to have a bad time. Like, I want you to waste 96 minutes, so I'm gonna pretend that Barely Lethal isn't horrible. Tell you to watch it.
I'm gonna be like, man, there's this one really funny scene where this kid's on this toilet, and it's just comedy gold. But you just got to chug 75 minutes through the film to get there.
It's no big deal. Yeah, it's worth it. It's a real slow burn.
Yeah, this would be the ultimate like, haha, I fooled you, type film. Yeah, it's a fucking F, man. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not the worst A24 movie I've ever seen, but it is bottom 5.
Yeah, as I was watching this, I was thinking about your like overall A24 ranking. Like, where is this going to end up? Like, this has got to be bad. Mm-hmm. It's not like, for me, it's not like Sky is Everywhere bad, you know?
Right.
Like that's a different tier of F.
That is still in my last place. That is actually, I have logged 99 A24 movies on Letterboxd. So whatever new A24 movie we do next will be my 100th A24 movie. So I still have The Sky is Everywhere in the 99 spot. This is insane that of the bottom 4, 3 of them we have watched in the past like 6 weeks. That is crazy. Jerry Lee Lewis, number 98.
Yeah.
Tuesday, number 97, and Barely Lethal, number 96.
Dang.
Yeah. Just absolute god awful stuff.
It's a tough look for the last 6 weeks or whatever for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This pod, tough. You know, I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in the work for everybody. Jeez. God, there are good A24 movies out there. You know, we gotta get to them. Maybe Queer will be that good A24 movie. Who knows? Closing thoughts on Barely Lethal. I'm sure that we both said our piece. Next week on the pod, Spring Break forever, bitches.
It's back.
Forever.
The return. I'm so excited to finally talk about this again. Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait for Britney Spears on piano. Like, I'm just so excited for so much of this movie. So this is gonna be fun.
I am really, really excited. We're gonna be revisiting Spring Breakers for the very first time. We covered Spring Breakers on episode 14 of this pod. So that's a thing that we did. And
that was the first watch for you, right?
That was the first watch for me. Yeah. Back on episode 14, which would have been like 145 episodes ago. So we're talking like 3 years ago almost, if I'm doing my math right. I believe I rated it a farewell and you rated it a good time. Of course, that was our very old ranking system. We now do the letter grades.
Yeah.
I will say I've seen it. We're going to record on it in a couple of days. I have vastly different opinions of it now.
I'm excited.
I have so many things to say. I literally cannot wait to talk about it.
It's going to be so fun. I'm going to have my alien braids in. I'll have Ashley do my hair, so we'll be good to go.
I want you to come on this pod and be like, I'm not from this earth, man. I'm not from here. I'm from another planet.
Like, what's up? Oh, man. Yeah, I'm very excited to talk Spring Breakers. And I'm very glad that our talk about Barely Lethal is over. If you happen to watch this, please let us know what you think. If you were one of the few people that contributed towards the $6,000 that this movie made in theaters,
let us know.
DM us. We really want to talk to you. I want to know where you saw this. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 Minutes of A24. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. Ring the bell, whatever notification things they have set now. I don't even remember anymore. But thank you, everybody, for your support. We really appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I'm Ethan Semi. Spring break forever, bitches.